Everyone, come look, my babies have come. No need to ask any questions like if I can get pregnant or who railed who. Come look at what I've brought into this world. Nah, those are the old ones. No, I was just goofing around with those. We're getting close. Ah, there they are. Now, can't be spoiling what they'll look like in this creature feature. Good old Nic Cage will do that if anyone is planning on seeing this in theaters. Let's see how my babies do in Arcadian without spoilers, so let's board up the house, lock the windows, remember that they can come up through the ground we stand on, and get spooky. Arcadian is about Nic Cage surviving with his twin sons on a post-apocalyptic Earth. The world was devastated by these monsters, as the protagonists would call them. The family survives during the day by foraging for supplies, helping the neighboring farmers, and fixing whatever they can to make life a bit easier and more manageable. And by night, they prepare for a routine attempt at their home being invaded by creatures that brought humanity to its knees. I'm just so proud. So, let's do what we do here and chop everything up and see what we're looking at. So Nic Cage plays Paul, the dad, and of course, gotta give him credit for his portrayal as Dracula in Renfield, which was a pretty fun movie. There is Thomas, played by Maxwell Jenkins, who is probably most recognizable for his role in Lost in Space. Who gives a shit? This is horror. Followed up by Joseph, played by Jaden Martell, who did a solid job in It.
But Bill, if you'll come with me, you'll float too. You'll float too. You'll float too. You'll float too. You'll float too.
Of course, just chapter 1. The less said about chapter 2, the better. And finally, there's Charlotte, the ginger love interest of Thomas, played by Sadie Soverall. She's been in a few things, mostly shit I haven't heard of except Saltburn, which I never saw, so good luck to you in the horror world. For the rest, who cares? So, the good. Thomas is more of a doer and Joseph is the thinker, and they play into these roles really well, and they both have their moments of being good doers and thinkers. Nic Cage plays a pretty likable good dad who is doing his best at keeping his kids safe and giving them both the attention that they need and letting Thomas go off and get some alone time with his crush.
Giggity. What? Nothing, it's stupid.
Charlotte and Thomas flirt like teenagers in the movie, and it's cute and believable, and she does a pretty good job when everything is going well. The monsters are very unique. They are so odd that it's kinda hard to get a good look at them. Don't worry, you'll see my babies plenty, but even I have a hard time figuring out what exactly did I make? And speaking of, there are a few scenes where the scene just pulls you in and keeps you wondering, uh-oh, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? The fighting and relationship between the brothers is very believable and relatable. I kept on thinking about my brothers. But let's not talk about them. And that wraps up the good. Now, for the bad. There is no crazy Nic Cage moment.
What? Oh, come on!
I know that might be a spoiler, but I feel like it's something people would be waiting for, so I think it's essential to tell you. It's not gonna happen. It feels like during the movie there aren't enough lines, and the focus isn't super direct. You'd think Nic Cage would take the center stage, but he kinda doesn't. Thomas probably gets the most screen time because he actually has the most going on. Joseph is also doing stuff, but it's mostly by himself, so there's no talking or anything. Charlotte goes through a lot in this movie, and you don't see her react to the bigger stuff going on, and it seems like a wasted opportunity to have more personal stuff shown. One of the bigger things I noticed, and for me, it's sometimes hard to catch in a film, but when it's there, it feels like someone pressed the fast forward button, and it's the editing. There were at least 3 big scenes in the movie, and it seems like they skipped something in between the moments. Either someone did a rush job on the editing or they didn't storyboard it out well enough, but the biggest problem with that is that these were the biggest fucking scenes in the movie. Another thing is the music. There's a part where someone is hurt and they are trying to save a life or transport a life from one place to another, and the kind of music that plays is pleasant? What the hell is happening here? Are you telling me through the music that this person is going to live? Why? Who the fuck picked this score? And it breaks my heart to admit this, but my babies are also on the shit list. They may be interesting, unique, have a moment or two of being a serious threat, but they also have moments where they are disposed of easily.
Making him yet another stupid bitch!
And what makes it worse is that it's pretty early on that one of them gets killed very easily. Like, you don't see the monster, so it's not spoiled to you yet. But Nic Cage goes out at dark and kills one of them half off screen effortlessly. Are you kidding me? I am supposed to believe that these things brought humanity to its knees and one of them gets billy jacked like a bitch in the woods by Nic Cage? No offense to him, but he doesn't really have like a badass, intimidating presence in this flick, so the idea of our first encounter with our human characters and a monster is Nic Cage taking it out without a scratch on him is terrible for building a threat level with our monsters. Overall, it's not a bad movie, but it's also not a great movie, and it bums me out because I thought this looked really good. I can't put this on my best of the year list. At best, it's going on the underrated list. Maybe I should have went and saw Sting instead, because both these movies are playing in select theaters. If you don't feel like driving 30 miles to go see this movie, it will be on Shudder later this year. Good for them for getting another decent horror flick added to their belt. Just wished it was a great one. Thanks for watching, stay spooky, and keep an eye on the doors, windows, and where you stand.